Here's one of the easiest ways to lower blood pressure. Salt, or sodium chloride, can raise our blood pressure, and it's specifically the sodium that does that. While there are also salt alternatives made of potassium chloride or a mix of potassium and sodium chloride that are often available at grocery stores. And the potassium chloride has a salty flavor but without the blood pressure raising effects. And this has been put to the test numerous times with at least 3 separate meta-analyses of randomized controlled trials, including over 30,000 participants, suggesting that replacing regular salt with these salt alternatives can lower blood pressure as well as lower the risk of stroke and all-cause mortality. However, the various studies did use different proportions of potassium chloride and sodium chloride, with the largest trial including roughly 21,000 participants using a 75% sodium chloride, 25% potassium chloride mix. And even that relatively modest reduction in sodium use in their home cooking led to a 14% reduction in stroke risk, a 13% reduction in the risk of major cardiovascular events, and a 12% reduction in risk of total mortality over the 5-year trial compared to those who used regular salt. But most of the participants in that trial had high blood pressure to begin with, so the question remains, can salt alternatives be beneficial for preventing high blood pressure in the first place? In a recent analysis of the Decide Salt randomized controlled trial, the researchers found that replacing regular salt with a reduced sodium alternative could lower the risk of developing high blood pressure by 40% over 2 years. And they did not identify a risk of dropping blood pressure too low. But another concern that does come up is the risk of hyperkalemia, which is high blood potassium levels. That can be dangerous, but it has not been reported as a significant risk in any of the studies conducted to date. However, we don't know if this would be a risk in people with kidney disease who may be at higher risk of hyperkalemia to begin with, so it is important to speak with one's doctor before making these dietary changes. And finally, while some studies have used a mix of about 25% potassium to 75% sodium or so, there is research suggesting that even a 50-50 split is generally acceptable by consumers. And while some may enjoy a 100% potassium chloride salt alternative, others report that it has a bit of a sour taste, so it can vary person to person, but generally speaking, the lower the sodium content, the better for blood pressure. So you have to find the sweet spot, or in this case, the salty spot.